There's 3 reasons why this project larger than 50 football fields changes everything. This project is going to put fuel on the fire for Tampa Bay and the state of Florida's rapid growth already occurring. But there's a few secrets and unique strategies that you can use when you have over 50 acres. To put it into perspective, a Walmart supercenter or 250,000 square foot store, okay, that's 5 acres. The parking lot next door, that's 5 acres more. So you combine that, that's 10 acres. Well, Gas Worx is 50 acres. So do that math. That's like 5 super Walmarts all stacked out, or 750 tennis courts, okay? This is massive. And by having that much space and that much investment gives you a lot of optionality to deliver a unique project, a unique experience. The overall project is 6 million square feet, 5,000 units, 500,000 square feet of commercial, or 100,000 square foot of ground floor retail. When you're planning this all out, you start with great anchor tenants. That's gonna bring other tenants. That food, beverage, amenity, services downstairs is gonna bring great people upstairs. With 50 acres, you can master plan it. One building is a warehouse, one building is the office building. There's a couple multifamily projects. This is the E1 through E3 blocks, all right next to historic 7th Avenue. And by being that large in that location, gives you the ability to connect Ybor with the Channel District, downtown, Tampa Heights, and all this area coming together. Well, costs are still extremely elevated from inflation coming out of COVID, the downturn, inflation, everything went up 30–40% in some regards for all construction costs. Interest rates used to be 4%. Now they're 8%, 7% for construction loans. Think about that. On a $100 million project, you used to have $4 million of annual interest. Now you have $8 million. Well, rent hasn't gone up that high to change it. And then you run into debt service coverage ratio issues with your construction loan. And then you run into return issues where your investors don't want to put in enough money because the returns aren't coming out like they used to, because cap rates are also high when you go to sell, while before cap rates were low. Well, despite all of that, Gas Worx still recently received a $182 million loan from Bank Ozarks and a $300 million total development project, or over $100 million in additional equity investment in the project. One of the investors, PPF out of Prague, is a foreign investor that saw value in the long-term investment and maybe had different risk return expectations because they're looking to deploy capital in a tricky market. By the way, if you are going to make an investment, Tampa is still one of the fastest growing cities in the nation. So while overall national projects have come down a little bit in their speed of going, this one's still happening. And Gas Worx is uniquely exciting because the second reason why this is a really unique time and project is because you're combining the historic Ybor district with new builds. Very rarely do you have historic districts, especially in the state of Florida. If you think about it, St. Augustine, 1600s, 1700s, Christopher Columbus, that period of Spanish Inquisition, and then historic Tampa, which is like 1800s with the Cuban and all the different migration coming in, the history there of the cigars, even in the Prohibition, the alcohol, underground tunnels, trains, roosters, all the unique elements, wrought iron, brick, that Spanish feel. Some of these buildings are 100+ years old, and you just don't find that character anywhere else. So if you're fortunate to be able to develop and have the benefit of a historic district, and you're building new buildings, you have to be very thoughtful about the type of construction that you do, the finishes that you use to accentuate what is already there. Is totally different than just building new structures. It's most important that you combine the architectures to create an overall experience. And that means when you're making new buildings, you have to be more thoughtful. They have to have the right kind of finishes. They're still new, luxurious, and modern, but they have to work with everything you're doing. The other benefits of historic, I want you to think about this. The culture and the experience, entertainment, different types of people gravitate towards areas with historical backgrounds. Now, it's not always the most practical. It's not suburban sprawl, and it's not your in and out strip center with those different amenities. No, it's a lot different. Some of your properties, the old bungalows, they're 100-year-old houses. Those don't have the same dishwasher capability of new suburban house development, but what they do have is gorgeous, unique finishes that you can't find anywhere else, that you have to restore and cherish for the next chapter. And so with Gas Worx is very unique in that it's a 50-acre project with all these massive buildings, but being interwoven interwoven into the historic fabrics of historic Ybor. And that's why this is going to be Tampa's #1 submarket in the next chapter. We've all seen what Water Street has done for downtown Channel District Spartans. Well, Gas Worx is the next big thing, because what that's going to do is connect Ybor, Channel District, downtown, Tampa Heights, all into one exciting submarket. It will be completely walkable, completely unique, and will have a bunch of culture because it's not just new construction. Then the last thing to think about is overall growth. There's still 1,000 people moving to Florida a day. Tampa's still in the fastest growing cities in America. Well, what's driving that? The things that are driving that are the fact that Tampa was under the radar for a long, long time. It's had beautiful beaches, it's had beautiful infrastructure, it's had waterways, it's had great people, it's had things to do, but it didn't really peak until COVID. It was growing, but then what happened is people from the north, people from California, all started migrating and looking for something different. What they want? They wanted nice weather, lower income tax. They wanted to stay away from some of the turbulence that was going on during COVID, and they sought out Florida. Well, when you're coming to Florida, you have some decisions to make, okay? You have South Florida, Central Florida, and North Florida. Well, historically, a lot of the people with the money from the north went to South Florida. But a few things have happened. South Florida has gotten extremely expensive. South Florida's traffic has gotten really congested. South Florida has gotten to where it's almost like a Dubai, where you can't touch it because it's such a unique market with people with such expectations and such a different culture and such a fast pace that it's not for everybody. Well, on the other end of the state, you've got North Florida in that Jacksonville area. That's totally different. That's a southern charm. You got 95 coming in, you're by the coast. It's still a low income tax. There's some history there too, right? Like that's the true South. You have the grit of the racial tension, the history of the Motown, you have the music, you have all those different things, but it's a drastically different living experience than South Florida or Central Florida. And so if you're looking for something in between, you come up to Orlando and you got Disney, and that's a great community that's growing as well. That doesn't have water. Tampa, Jax, South Florida all boast coastline, okay? So as you're moving from Orlando over to Tampa, it's really priced in between. It still has good quality of life. Traffic's not as bad, but it's got a lot of growth. It's got new people coming. It's got some character. It's got some culture. And all of a sudden, all those things happening is the city has sprawled out in a bunch of directions. Wesley, Chapel, all these different areas are doing great. But what's also happening is downtown Tampa is having a huge revibrance. And that revibrance is really driven around the fact that 20 years ago, there was nothing after 5. There were dust balls going down the street. It wasn't the place to live or to be after hours. It was just for work. Well, with Sky Point, Element, some of the original condos 20 years ago really started going downtown. Now downtown has a dozen plus luxury condo projects. They have affordable housing. They have all different kinds of things. Skate parks, Curtis Hickson Park, the Riverwalk. Well, with all that stuff coming together, downtown Tampa is now a place to be. So what do? You start to look at where can we develop within downtown Tampa. And one of the areas that had a huge opportunity was all the barren land outside of Ybor City between Ybor and downtown. Named after the Gas Works from the old electrical plant, the gas plant, that area is over 50 acres, but it's prime real estate because it's in between downtown and the Channel District, Tampa Heights, and these areas. So you look at that, you say, okay, well, some of that has historical variances. You can only develop so high, but the city blocks that Gas Worx is on are not restricted by height, which makes it exciting. So you have historic 7th, you have some of the mid-rise product that can only, and then as you get to Adamo and Highway 60 and Ybor Harbor and Channel District, you can go as high as you want. So it leaves an amazing opportunity to do a world-class, dense, infill, mixed-use project. So if you look at migration and people moving to the state, asking themselves, where do I want to live? Well, look, living in historic Ybor is really cool. Tampa doesn't even realize this sometimes, but I believe the historic Ybor is going to be the hottest spot in Tampa, and it's always been a treasure. But what has happened was it was historic, but people stayed away from it because of the crime. But that's going to go away. Imagine when that goes away, and on Sunday evening, you're walking down 7th, the sun's setting, the roosters are going, the bricks are there. It's going to be more charming than anything Tampa has to offer, and that's going to drive rents, values up. So we're working with a lot of tenants now to bring them into the district. Those folks that lock in leases now and get in early, they're going to have a great opportunity to lock in today's rates, not the future rates. I mean, you look at like Water Street, $60, $70 rents per square foot. That's expensive, you know? Some of the Gas Worx rents right now are about to come online, but you can't touch Water Street, okay? You can't even get in there. It's all full. So Gas Worx is going to be a huge opportunity for retail leasing, And we all know that Tampa has opportunity. It needs more restaurants. It needs more unique experiences. But those places don't want to go somewhere that's cookie cutter. They don't want to go to Wesley Chapel and 54 and be in a strip mall. They want something unique. And that's what Gas Worx is going to offer with a warehouse. It's a 30,000 square foot warehouse being converted. As part of the project, it's going to have a food court. There's a park, and all the new builds that are going to be around it are going to give you a fully integrated neighborhood feel. It'll be a balance. It'll be a village. It'll be a place where people want to hang out, live, work, and play. And it will no longer just be that historical district. And for those reasons, the next chapter in Tampa is extremely bright, and historic Ybor and Gas Worx is the place to be. If you have questions about the project, follow more of our videos, as we're going to keep doing updates on the project as we go through the different phases, work to Ybor Harbor. And I look forward to sharing more about these future chapters with you as well. Click here, subscribe, and check out more of our projects.